right, time now for the must-read opinion pages. At 46 past the hour, we have a great one by Ann Applebaum we'll get to. But first, Michael Shear writes in the New York Times, sticking to his travel plans at risk of looking bad. This is interesting, especially given the parallels that are being made. As smoke billowed from the downed Malaysian jetliner in the fields of eastern Ukraine on Thursday, President Obama pressed ahead with his schedule: a cheeseburger with fries at the charcoal pit in Delaware, a speech about infrastructure, and 2 splashy fundraisers in New York City. The potential for jarring split-screen imagery was clear, and yet White House aides say no consideration was given to abandoning the president's long-planned schedule, even when word suddenly arrived that Israel had begun a ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. With some rare exceptions, the public relations team around the president has remained consistently stubborn about refusing to let the never-ending stream of crises affect Mr. Obama's daily schedule. This week, he plans a 3-day fundraising swing in Seattle and California. White House officials said there were no plans to cancel the trip. And Joe, you know, I think this has been a persistent issue with the Obama administration in terms of other, sometimes domestic crises that we've been facing, in terms of the "we don't do theater" attitude or comments that they make. They don't like to sort of, at the same time, there are these parallels being made to Ronald Reagan and how he responded to the Korean airliner. And it took him 4 days to go back and make the strong statements that he made, just for some perspective.
He immediately canceled his vacation.
He didn't, actually.
Yes, he did.
No,
yes,
he didn't
actually,
immediately
he did.
cancel it.
Yes, he did. He immediately did. He immediately went back to the White House. He immediately canceled fundraising events and campaign events. Yes, he did. And no, he did. You can go back and look. Ronald Reagan didn't keep campaigning. He stopped when the Korean airliner went down. What's wrong with this picture when you have an administration, Mika, that says we don't do theater? When he's asked to go down and survey humanitarian crisis by the Hispanic caucus and by a Democratic senator, and then he shoots pool, and then he does theater of drinking beer, and then there's a downed airliner and they don't do theater, and he's doing campaign events and fundraising events, and he's eating hamburgers and French fries as public theater. Everything the president does is theater, and they engage in theater. It just appears that they engage in really, really bad theater.
And I think that's the opportunity is, you can call it theater. The White House can say we don't do theater, John Hellman. But it is an opportunity to send a message that I'm worried is potentially being missed if we don't hear something strong from the president, like we've heard from David Cameron, who writes in the Times of London, we must turn this moment of outrage into a moment of action.
Right. And you know, funnily enough, listening to your father yesterday talking on television about this, and your dad was saying that he agreed with the president's position on most issues of foreign policy, but what he wanted to see was a stronger articulation of those positions, showing more acts of public leadership on the global stage. I think there's no reason why, and to get to Joe's point, I think there's no reason why you can't do both of these things.
I know.
I mean, there's the president. There's no reason for the president cannot be doing some of that stuff while still continuing to do what they consider essential political work to try to get and staying in tune with the American people, which we saw in the poll are not looking for a lot of active American intervention on the global stage, but they'd be happy to hear the president speak more forcefully.
I think the American people would welcome American leadership on the world stage. They simply want to avoid American military intervention, boots on the ground, and we're not talking about that here.
Right.
Okay, we're going to talk about this more at the top of the hour. Coming up, though, Joe.